Chapter 1: The Basement Door. My wife and I bought our house in the spring. It was built in 1962, a split level on a quiet street, the kind of house that had been owned by the same family for decades before going to market. The inspection came back clean. We moved in on a Saturday in April and spent the first weekend painting and unpacking and feeling like we had made the right decision. The basement door was in the kitchen. Standard enough. A hollow core door with a simple latch, painted the same off-white as the rest of the kitchen. We used the basement for storage. Boxes, holiday decorations, the kind of things that accumulate in a life and need somewhere to go. We went down there maybe twice a week. About 6 weeks after we moved in, I noticed the door wasn't latching properly. It would swing open on its own, not dramatically, not suddenly, just gradually, over the course of a few minutes until it was standing open about 4 or 5 inches. I assumed it was a settling issue, the frame slightly out of square, the kind of thing old houses do. I added it to the list of things to fix. Then I noticed the pattern. It only happened at night. During the day, the door stayed exactly where we left it. But at some point after dark, I could never identify exactly when, the door would begin to drift open. Slowly, silently, until it was open that same 4 or 5 inches. Not more, not less, always the same amount. I replaced the latch. It still happened. I adjusted the hinges. Still happened. I put a hook and eye latch on the door, the kind that requires a deliberate action to open. I checked it before bed. I came down in the morning, and it was open. The hook was off the eye. The door was open 4 or 5 inches. I set up a camera. I won't tell you what the camera showed exactly, because I'm not sure I have the right words for it. What I can tell you is that at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday, the hook and eye latch came off the eye by itself. Slowly, not suddenly, the way something would move it carefully from the other side, and the door drifted open to exactly the same position it always drifted to. And then it stayed there until morning. I showed my wife the footage. She watched it twice. Then she said, "Is there anything on the other side of the door in the frame?" I looked again. In the gap, the 4 or 5 inches the door always opened to, there was darkness. Just darkness. But the darkness wasn't uniform. There was a shape in it, the approximate shape and height of a person, standing very still, just on the other side of the door. We had the basement professionally inspected the following week. The inspector found nothing. No structural issues, no signs of entry, nothing to explain the footage. He said old houses sometimes have drafts that can move interior doors. He said it with the particular confidence of someone who did not want to think too carefully about what they were being asked to explain. We still live in the house. We don't use the basement anymore. The door has a deadbolt on it now, the kind that requires a key from both sides. Every morning, when I come downstairs, I check it before I do anything else. Every morning it's locked, exactly as I left it. But every morning, the gap at the bottom of the door is darker than it should be for a room with no windows. And sometimes, when the house is completely quiet, I can hear something on the other side of it that isn't pipes and isn't the house settling and isn't anything I have been able to explain in the 18 months since we installed the deadbolt. Chapter 2: The Chair. I inherited my uncle's house when he died. He had no children, no spouse, and I was the closest family he had. It was a small house in a small town in Pennsylvania, and I had no use for it, so I listed it with a real estate agent and began the process of clearing it out. He had lived there for 31 years. The accumulation of 3 decades of a quiet life filled every room, not hoarder level, just the ordinary density of a person who never threw anything away if it still worked. It took me 4 weekends to get through most of it. My uncle had been a private person, and going through his things felt like reading his diary without permission, so I worked quickly and tried not to look too carefully at most of it. The chair was in the bedroom. It was an old wooden armchair, positioned at an angle to face both the bed and the window. The kind of chair that a person might sit in to read or to look out at the yard or simply to be in the room without being in the bed. It had clearly been used regularly. The cushion was compressed in the shape of someone who had sat there many times. The chair did not particularly concern me until the second weekend, when I arrived on Saturday morning to continue clearing and found the chair had moved. I was certain of this because I had moved it myself the previous weekend, shifted it toward the closet to get at some boxes behind it, meaning to move it all the way out of the room, but never getting around to it. When I left on Sunday, it was still near the closet. When I arrived the following Saturday, it was back in its original position, angled to face both the bed and the window, the cushion oriented exactly as it had been when I first walked in. I moved it again that weekend, back toward the closet, out of its original position. I was deliberate about it. I noted where I put it. The following Saturday it was back. This happened 4 times. 4 weekends in a row I moved the chair, and 4 weekends in a row I arrived to find it back in its original position, facing the bed and the window, cushion compressed in the shape of someone sitting. I asked my real estate agent if anyone had been in the house during the week. She said no. She had the only spare key and had not shown the property to anyone. I changed the locks after the second time. It still happened. I stopped moving the chair. I listed the house, sold it, and signed the papers without going back inside. I told myself it was a coincidence, a trick of memory, a misremembering of exactly where I had placed it. I told myself this with the particular conviction of someone who doesn't believe what they're saying. I think about that chair sometimes. I think about my uncle sitting in it for 31 years, watching the yard through the window. I think about whatever sat in it after he was gone in the same position, facing the same window, and I try not to think about whether it was watching the yard or whether it was watching me. Chapter 3, The Recording. My sister bought a white noise machine when her youngest started having trouble sleeping. Standard parenting solution, consistent background sound to mask household noise, help the baby sleep through the night. She set it up in the nursery, one of the popular ones with different sound options. She chose the ocean setting. It worked well for about 3 months. In the 4th month, she started noticing something when she played back the baby monitor audio in the morning. She did this routinely. The monitor saved overnight recordings, and she would skim through them to check for anything she'd missed. Most nights it was just the white noise machine and the baby's breathing. On a Tuesday night in October, she found something different. At 3:14 a.m., underneath the white noise, there was a voice. She almost missed it. It was quiet, partially masked by the ocean sound, the way something sounds when it's trying not to be heard. She turned the volume all the way up and listened again. It was a woman's voice, speaking in a low, even tone. She could make out words. The voice was saying her daughter's name, over and over, quietly and continuously, the way you would speak to a child you were trying to soothe. Her daughter's name, repeated, for approximately 4 minutes, then the white noise returned to normal. She checked the monitor for defects. She checked for interference from neighboring devices. She had the monitor replaced by the manufacturer, who found no fault with the original unit. She changed the white noise machine to a different sound, rain instead of ocean. She moved the monitor to a different position in the room. The voice came back the following Tuesday, same time, same low, even tone, same 4 minutes. Her daughter's name repeated quietly and continuously, while the baby slept undisturbed in the crib. My sister moved the crib to her own bedroom after the second incident. She has not used the nursery since. The white noise machine is still in there. She told me she can't bring herself to go in and unplug it. She told me the thing that stays with her is not the voice itself, but the baby's reaction to it, or rather, the lack of reaction. Her daughter slept through both recordings without stirring, as if whatever was speaking in the dark was familiar, as if it had been there before the monitor was there to hear it.